Hi, everybody. This is Mark Wortman with the Make Good Coffee Company in San Diego, California. Thanks a lot for checking out this video. And I want to start by recognizing the collective effort that we know everybody is making right now to contain the coronavirus. We wish you and your family good health. This has obviously meant that everyone, for the most part, has had to stay at home except for essential activity. And we had an idea for something that we thought would be a lot of fun for coffee lovers that are stuck at home right now. And that's what I want to talk about for the next few minutes. First off, a little bit about myself. I have been blogging about coffee since 2006 on makegoodcoffee.com. I've had a lot of fun since then, traveling around the United States and Canada, writing about coffee, visiting coffee roasters, coffee farms. I've been published in Roast Magazine. I have been a regular speaker at the CoffeeCon events, and 5 years ago started wholesale roasting here in San Diego, providing coffee for local restaurants, coffee shops, independent grocers. This year, Colleen and I opened the Make Good Coffee Company coffee house right next to the roastery. One day you'll have the chance to come in here and try our coffee and check out the roasting facility right behind me. The idea that we had was to host an online coffee cupping. If you're not familiar with that choice of words, a coffee cupping is essentially a coffee tasting. We as roasters are evaluating a number of things when it comes to coffee, from where it was grown, how it gets to us from there, how we roast it, but then ultimately what it tastes like when it's been ground, brewed, and poured into a cup, and we call that a coffee cupping. The idea that we had was to be able to provide you with the simple materials and instructions that you need so that we could host a cupping that you're doing from home. Now, before I get into the details, I wanted to address why we do coffee cuppings. People who love coffee and wine are probably very familiar with wine tastings and might not have realized that a very similar evaluation method exists for coffee. The reason it's important for the coffee roaster is it's an opportunity to evaluate a coffee before purchasing a large quantity of it, as well as to break a coffee down into its taste and aroma characteristics, usually for the purpose of filling out the lineup. So if I find a coffee that offers a flavor that doesn't exist in the other coffees in our lineup, then that's going to come out in a coffee cupping. If you're in the business of serving coffee to people, coffee cupping is a great way to learn how to describe that coffee more objectively to your customers. But for you, the coffee lover, just on an individual basis, coffee tastings are a lot of fun and they're very educational. I would sum it up by saying that the coffee cupping offers an evaluation, but it also offers a common vocabulary so that we're all talking more of the same language. Ideally, that you could describe a coffee to me and I'm going to have a sense of what it's like before I even taste it. Now, the way that a coffee cupping works is by use of an evaluation form. It is a standardized form that's used to break the coffee down into its aroma and taste characteristics. And for each of those, what you do is evaluate the coffee both quantitatively and qualitatively. So first, quantitatively, when you're done evaluating a coffee, it's literally going to have a score from 1 to 100. Hopefully not 1, that would be terrible, and I'm sorry you had to drink it. But qualitatively, by using descriptors, and there is some standardization in these descriptors. I mentioned earlier that one of the goals of cupping is to come up with a common vocabulary, but for each of the traits that you're looking at in that coffee, using some adjectives or just other descriptors so that you could describe it to another person, or for your own benefit so that you can identify what it is you do and don't like in coffee. And I'll talk a bit about how in some respects there's some objectivity to the coffee cupping, but then in other respects it's going to come down to personal preference. All that matters is that you are drinking a coffee that you like, no matter what anyone else thinks. The traits that are looked at on the evaluation form. 2 of them related to the sense of smell, 4 of them related to the sense of taste. First of all, the fragrance of the coffee. What does it smell like after it's been ground? The aroma of the coffee. What does it smell like as it's being brewed? And then 4 characteristics related to taste. First of all, flavor. What are the flavors in this coffee coming either from the soil that it was grown in, or else how it was roasted when we got our hands on it? There are a lot of natural flavors in coffee owing to its origin, and then there are some flavors that we impart onto the coffee based on how we roast it. So it might have natural flavors of chocolate, berries, nuts. It might have a smoky flavor because of the way that we roasted it. All that gets evaluated under flavor. The next one is acidity. Acidity is the pop or the tart or the brightness of a coffee. And this to me is where it starts to get subjective, because you talk to different people who love coffee and they're going to have different opinions about acidity. I love a high acid coffee. Not a lot of people like acidity in their coffee as much as I do, and will prefer something on the darker roasted side, which is lower in acidity. We also look at the aftertaste. Is the aftertaste short? Is it long? Either way, is it pleasant or not? And then finally, the body or mouthfeel of the coffee, and comparing it to milk. Does it have a thin body like skim milk, or a heavier body like a whole milk? All these things get evaluated for each of the coffees that we look at on the evaluation form. All right, so that is how a coffee cupping is carried out, no matter how it's done. So what is our idea for hosting an online coffee cupping? We would send you 3 samples of pre-ground coffee. These would be coffees that are very distinct from each other in terms of their aroma and taste. We would email you the evaluation form to print out at home, and we would also email you some simple instructions about how to prepare yourself for the online event. And it's not going to be anything very technical. So we'll have suggestions for things that you're going to need. If you don't have those things, we will suggest some alternatives that you can use, and it'll be just fine. The point is, you're not going to have to go out and buy anything for this event. The event will cost $10. For $10, you get the 3 coffee samples sent to you, obviously in time for the event, access to the event, and then the cupping form and the instructions by email. In addition to that, for $20, you would get everything that I just mentioned, but in addition to that, a voucher to buy a bag of coffee of your choice from our online store. Our expectation is that when the cupping's done, there's going to be 1, maybe 2, hopefully 3 coffees that you tried that you absolutely love, but 1 or 2 that you liked more than the rest. And this is a voucher for you to be able to get yourself a bag of that coffee from our online store. But use that voucher to buy any coffee of ours that you like. If you've never tried our coffee quiz on makegoodcoffee.com, it asks you a few questions, takes a couple minutes, and then recommends a coffee for you from our lineup based on your answers to the questions. So the point is, you use that voucher to buy any bag of coffee that you want. So we're really excited about this. We think it's going to be a lot of fun and super educational for anyone who likes coffee. Everyone who comes out of a coffee cupping event learns something new from it. We think you're really going to like it. We hope to see you there. Stay healthy and stay safe.